Hi, and thanks for joining us for our May edition of ExtraHop TLDR. Too late, don't rain. And I know that for many of you across the country and elsewhere, it is very hot, and the last thing you need is no rain. You need more of it, in fact. But here in Seattle, where we are based, it is still 45 degrees and raining, and we're really over it. Way over it. But what we're really here to talk about today is a quick refresh of what you may have missed in cybersecurity. I'm Rachel Peppel.
Hello, everyone. I'm Paul Diddy.
And I'm Justin Carter. And each month, we're going to recap some interesting stories from ExtraHop and other cybersecurity industry leaders so that you don't have to. Everything we talk about today will be available on our blog, and we'll include a link at the end of the broadcast. Rachel, are you ready to kick us off with some upcoming events and some headlines?
I sure am. Now, some of you may remember that 2 months ago, we hosted a webinar called Man by Machine, where we spoke with Andy Jones, the former CISO at Maersk, about how his team rescued the shipping company from the major NotPetya attack of 2017. It's hard to believe that that 5-year anniversary is coming up.
Mm-hmm. And we had such a great turnout that we decided to do it again. Only this time we talked about the hot topic that we'll never stop talking about, Shields Up. And to get the ins and outs of this new guidance, we spoke with John Zangardi, former CIO for the U.S. Department of Homeland Security, the acting CIO for the U.S. Department of Defense, and the former Navy CIO. Now that's quite the resume.
It certainly is. So John joined our expert panel to talk about how corporate leaders can lead and support security teams during times of high alert. They also discussed the tactics being deployed by nation-state actors and their allies, and how to use the network as both an attack vector and as a source of cyber defense intelligence. That is a mouthful for me.
It certainly is a mouthful. In addition to John Zangardi, who is awesome, and by the way, he has another title now. He's also a CEO now. We were also joined by Samir Kapuria, who is a board member of ExtraHop and a managing partner at Crosspoint Capital, as well as Jamie Moles of ExtraHop. He's a security engineer with us and a personal friend of mine. So thank you, Jamie. Thank you, Samir. And thank you, John. The video of this event will be up soon to watch on demand. And just remember, this is really about how crucial it is to take the right steps to protect your organization from cyber attacks, especially at a time of heightened alert like we're in right now. Don't forget also, you can check out all of our Shields Up resources on our hub page, extrahop.com/resources/shields-up.
That's right. So now let's move on to the next big event, RSA. The RSA conference is taking place in San Francisco from June 6th to the 9th. We're going to be there. Are you?
If you are, make sure to stop by our booth, S as in Sierra 1327, that's S1327, where you can chat with us, see a live demo, and get some swag. You can also register to win a GoTrax scooter, and by the way, it's possible that we may have a custom-built video game that we're going to be rolling out, just in case you want to come try your hand at making the leaderboard.
There we go. Also, our own Mark Bowling will be running a speaking session on June 8th called "What Will It Take to Stop Ransomware?" He'll be talking about the advanced tactics used by threat actors, government efforts to combat the threat, and what security teams can do to reclaim the advantage.
And if you're an ExtraHop customer, we have a special promo just for you. If you fill out some reviews on both G2 and Gartner Peer Insights, we'll give you an exclusive pair of Oakley frog skin sunglasses. It's a pretty sweet deal, and you can stroll around the conference in style, making everyone jealous.
And to be absolutely clear, frog skin is the name of the model of those sunglasses. They are not actually sunglasses made out of frog skin. We would not do that, I promise. Anyway, if you're heading to RSA, hit a link on the screen and get yourself a free Expo Pass, but it's a super secret free Expo Pass. Definitely don't share it with all of your friends. We hope to see you there.
Okay, so now on to a couple of great content pieces. Gartner just released their cybersecurity landscape report for 2022. There's a new playbook of cyber attacks, and they want to make sure you know how to beat them.
That's right. It's got a lot of good information in there. You can find that on our resources page, as well as linked to a couple of our blogs.
And last but not least, Dark Reading published a new white paper on the new breed of encrypted threats. Here they provide insight into strategic decryption to fight back against these advanced threats.
That's right. It's another really detailed report that you can also download from our resources page.
Did we mention that our resources page is great with lots of resources?
It's a great resource page.
It's a great resource page. Lots of resources.
Lots of resources on the resources page.
We're going to stop now.
Now it's time for Threat of the Month. And this time we're breaking down DNS tunneling attacks.
DNS tunneling is a difficult to detect attack that routes DNS requests to the attacker's server, which provides them a covert command and control, or C2 channel, and a data exfiltration path. And if you recall, we talked about C2 beaconing in attacks previously.
Paul, I'm going to get to the point I'm supposed to make in a minute, but first, I really feel like every time you say it's time for Threat of the Month, I feel like there should be like some jazzy music they have on CNN when they're like, it's breaking news. Anyway, Threat of the Month, back to the thing. DNS is like a phone book. Remember those? For the internet. It helps translate between IP addresses and domain names. Humans aren't great at remembering long strings of numbers, which is basically what IP addresses are. Or, for example, your spouse's phone number, which I'm pretty sure after, like 18 years of being together and almost 10 years of marriage, my husband still doesn't remember my cell phone number. In any case, bottom line is a web address is easier to remember and tells you a bit about where you're going. Since web browsers use IP addresses, you need something to translate between the two. By the way, a great web address to go to is ExtraHop.com.
That's really easy to remember too.
Totally.
Okay, so here's how it works. The bad actor has a server running malware on it with a domain pointing to that server. They then use a host they've infected with malware to query for the attacker-controlled domain. When the DNS resolver routes the query, it creates a tunnel from the attacker to their target, allowing them to get data, remotely control the host, or otherwise take the next step in the attack chain. Is everyone still following?
Honestly, I'm still trying to remember my wife's phone number right now.
Justin, you and my husband would get along well. Anyway, it is complicated to explain, but it can be prevented. The best methods to monitor DNS, spoiler alert, not logs. Logs are not the best method for DNS. Best methods for DNS are payload analysis or traffic analysis. Both of those things help identify suspicious activity. And you can enhance detection of suspicious activity over DNS with decryption. It is critical that your security tools have capabilities around decryption for all common encryption protocols, including TLS 1.3 and Kerberos.
That's right. And we have a few great reads on our blog about DNS tunneling. And of course, you can head over to our attack glossary to get a more in-depth rundown of this attack.
Now let's move on to cyber news around the internet. The Register recently reported that, according to Mandiant, the number of zero-day vulnerabilities exploited in the wild reached an all-time high last year.
Even the Register doesn't need snark when you have that much terror packed into one headline. Sorry, guys, at LReg, I love you. Please don't write snarky headlines about us, please. Anyway, Mandiant says that they identified more than double the amount of attacks over last year's, with most of these attacks coming from state-sponsored, aka nation-state, aka APT groups.
And they also break down where these attacks are coming from, and some places that seem curiously absent from the list. So you can read that whole story on their website.
And finally, some good news. Cybersecurity professionals discovered, analyzed, and created Defense Against an Industrial Control System, or ICS, malware framework before it could be deployed.
They sure did. The recent discovery of a malware framework, referred to as both Pipe Dream and In Controller, which for some reason is like a really hard word to say, that targets these ICSs, just goes to show what can happen when everything goes right.
Yeah, it's a great success story in a time when we seem to hear nothing but bad news. So you got to take them when you can. So anyway, that's going to do it for this month's TLDR. I'm Paul Diddy.
I'm Justin Carter.
And I'm Rachel Pepple, and you can find all the stories we've discussed today on our blog by heading to the link below, extrahop.com/TLDR.
We'll be back next month for more stories and all things cybersecurity.
Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you at RSA Conference.
See you there.